Stay put for ice mountains floating in nitrogen, skyscrapers made of methane ice, high-definition images, and some strange revelations about Pluto. As part of NASA's New Frontiers program, the New Horizons interplanetary probe was sent out to the far reaches of our solar system with a single primary goal in mind. It would perform a flyby of Pluto, and in this video, we're going to go over some of the strangest things it discovered. Before the mission, the surface of Pluto had never been captured directly, and even the Hubble Space Telescope struggled to get an image due to the small size and long distance of the former planet. On January 19, 2006, the New Horizons interplanetary probe was sitting atop an Atlas V rocket at Cape Canaveral. Not only would the probe be launched at speeds that would make it the fastest object ever launched from Earth, it would become the fifth ever object to reach the velocity necessary to propel it out of the solar system entirely. While New Horizons' primary goal was Pluto, the probe would need to use the gravity of Jupiter to slingshot itself even faster, cutting down on the journey time by almost 3 years. NASA scientists used this gravity assist as a chance to test out some of New Horizons' scientific instruments. The probe was able to collect information on Jupiter's atmosphere, moons, and magnetosphere. While passing at a further distance than Galileo, New Horizons was able to take some incredible images of Europa, Ganymede, and even eruptions on the surface of Io. After this flyby, New Horizons went into low-powered hibernation mode, all the way until it arrived closer to Pluto for its all-important flyby on December 6, 2014. This is when NASA scientists activated New Horizons' full suite of instruments and performed a burn to set it on an approach course for the planetoid. Over the course of the next 6 months, New Horizons would approach closer and closer to Pluto. It had already started to capture images during this approach. As it got nearer to Pluto, the images became more and more defined, with scientists back on Earth getting the first look at details on the surface. On July 10, 2015, New Horizons reported back from Pluto with the data that would go on to make its first major discovery. For the first time, we knew for certain how big Pluto was. The planet has a diameter of 1,470 miles, slightly bigger than estimates had pegged the planet at before. Charon, Pluto's largest moon, was also given its first definite size, 750 miles in diameter. New Horizons wasn't just able to observe Pluto and Charon on its approach, though. It was also able to take notation of Pluto's other smaller moons. Nix, Hydra, Kerberos, and Styx were all charted by New Horizons as it drew closer to its primary target. Upon arrival at Pluto, the images are astonishing. Data gathered from New Horizons showed that Pluto and its surrounding natural satellites were much more complicated than anyone here on Earth could have possibly imagined. In particular, scientists were amazed by the degree of activity that could be found occurring on the surface of the planet. Take, for instance, Sputnik Planitia. Named after the first artificial satellite sent out from Earth, this is a heart-shaped nitrogen glacier and is thought to be the biggest glacier found anywhere in our solar system. Strangely enough, this massive glacier may be a relatively new feature of Pluto's topography. New Horizons was unable to detect any crater marks on the glacier's surface, which implies it was somehow formed within the last 10 million years. Scientists believe that Sputnik Planitia was actually formed as the result of a massive impact or slamming into Pluto's surface, one that would have been between 150 kilometers to 300 kilometers wide. The resultant basin would have collected up the nitrogen ice in the area, forming the massive glacier we know today. Pluto's nitrogen ice glaciers have another interesting quirk that hasn't been seen anywhere else in the solar system: massive hills of water ice floating atop the nitrogen ice. These isolated hills can be anywhere from 1 to several miles across, as reported by New Horizons data. Because water ice is less dense than nitrogen ice, it is thought that the hills float across the surface of Sputnik Planitia, incredibly similar to how icebergs would float across water on Earth. It is most likely that these nomadic hills are chunks of ice broken free from the rugged uplands of Pluto, drifting through the convections of the nitrogen ice of Sputnik Planitia. New Horizons was also able to uncover Pluto's strangely bladed surface structures. These massive blades stumped scientists when New Horizons first observed them in 2015, but over the years they believe they have found an answer. Scientists believe that these blades are actually giant spires of methane ice, some as tall as a skyscraper in New York. Scientists believe they have been caused by sublimation, a process caused by climatic variation on the surface of Pluto. When it is slightly warmer, the methane ice begins to simply evaporate into gas, skipping the liquid form. This creates the gigantic features known as penitents that we see on the surface. A similar effect can be seen in high-altitude snowfields on Earth, but nowhere near as large as the blades of Pluto. Charon also held unexpected secrets for New Horizons to uncover. The natural satellite holds an unexpected and incredibly large equatorial extensional belt. This has led scientists to believe that there was a time long, long ago where Charon itself held a liquid water ocean within its icy outer shell. New Horizons has been able to find similar evidence pointing toward the conclusion that Pluto itself may have a liquid water ocean below its own surface even now. After completing its groundbreaking mission, gathering incredible pictures and data on Pluto and its moons, NASA saw fit to extend the project a little further. So New Horizons blasted itself away from the orbit of Pluto and further out into the Kuiper belt, en route to the asteroid Ultima Thule. It arrived there, the most distant target in space exploration history, on January 1, 2019. It was the shape of this Kuiper belt object that had the New Horizons team interested in study, and soon after arrival they found it to be even stranger than previously expected. Since the craft health of New Horizons is still within acceptable margins, NASA has extended the mission even further and given the craft a new task. It will continue to fly through the Kuiper belt, exploring distant objects and exploring the new horizons of our solar system for years to come. While we wait for more data to be beamed back, why don't you take a look at the astonishing discoveries of the Curiosity rover as it climbs Mount Sharp on Mars? Click here to see the best footage of Mars directly from the surface of the planet. Thanks for watching, Elder Fox. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to keep up to date with the latest discoveries.